everybody. I want to take a minute and share with you a leadership thought. And this goes out to all of our ministry team leaders and all of our small group leaders. You know, we will in September celebrate 4 years of launching a church called Home. And in 4 years, there's a couple of things I've learned when it comes to just good leadership lessons. And one of them comes from 1 Samuel chapter 30. And the story is David. He's not king yet. Saul is still on his throne. But David is actually running for a period of time with the Philistines. And David takes all of his mighty men out to battle with the Philistines. And they're returning back to their hometown at that time called Ziklag. So they're coming off the battlefield. And when they see Ziklag on the horizon, immediately their hearts faint within them. The group of people called the Amalekites, while David and his men were out to battle, this group of people called the Amalekites had attacked their hometown, and their city was on fire. The Amalekites burned their town to the ground. When David and his men ran into the city, they discovered a second thing, and that was that all of their women, all of their wives, their daughters, all of their sons, and all the elderly men had been led away into captivity. They had become slaves. Now, the Bible says a couple of things in this passage, this story, this chapter. It says that David and his men, they wept until all their strength had left them. Think about that. And then here's what the Bible says, that the men who followed David into battle, the men who had returned from battle with David, David's close men, the ones closest to him, that their hearts turned on David. And they wanted to stone him to death. They wanted to kill him. And in verse 6, the Bible says this awesome thing about David. It's a great leadership lesson for us. It says that David withdrew himself and he strengthened himself in the Lord. I want to give you a leadership lesson. And I've noticed this in 4 years of pastoring. In 4 years of seeing people launch ministry groups based off their passion, launch ministry teams, and in 4 years of watching people lead, I've noticed something about myself and about you as leaders. People will always come and go. Let's say that let's say I launch, Melissa and I launch a small group, and 15 people sign up for that group. Here's what will happen. I know that it will happen, because it always happens. 15 people sign up, and let's say our group's going for 13 weeks. I promise you this, there won't be 15 people go all the way through those 13 weeks. 10 people might go through those 13 weeks, but I promise you all 15 won't. But here's what happens. As a leader, there's this battle that starts to happen in our mind. Oh, well, maybe I'm not a good leader. Or we take it personal. Like, what do they got against me, man? I'm just trying to do something for the Lord here. I'm just trying to be a good leader, you know. So we take it personal, or we start to doubt ourselves and our leadership ability, and there's this war goes on in our head, and unfortunately sometimes we even disengage from serving at all when that happens. But let's take a minute to learn from David here. David, the Bible says, even though all that had went wrong, David withdrew himself and he strengthened himself in the Lord. And you know what happened? He prayed and he listened, and God said, go back and get what the enemy took from you. And David rallied those guys back together, and he just inflated their faith for a moment, and they went out and they took back everything the enemy had stolen. So here's the leadership lesson I want to give you. Number one, I don't want any of our leaders to think it's strange if people come and go from your small group. I want to actually share with you 3 things I'm going to encourage you to do as a leader. Number one, never make it hard for people who disengage. Never make that hard. As a matter of fact, I think the real test of leadership is how we treat people when they disengage. That's a real leadership test right there. Number 2, don't take it personal. Don't take that personal when people do that. I mean, it's nothing against you, and don't take it on the chin like, oh man, I'm a bad leader, or to the gut, I'm a bad leader. No, get that out of your mind. Come on. We are the people of God. I mean, we walk in the authority of Christ. I mean, God's called us to be kings and priests, so don't take that personal. So number one, don't make it difficult for people to disengage. Number two, don't take it personal. And number three, learn how to strengthen yourself in the Lord during those times. And then I'm going to give you a fourth one, and this is a great leadership lesson right here. Quite often when people disengage or when people come and go from a group or come and go from a team, we tend to think about the people going instead of the people who are around us who need us the most. I heard somebody say one time that a dying church is always focused on the people it's losing. And every church has people come and go. But a thriving church is focused on the people it's winning. So you know what I want to be? I want to be a thriving church. I want to be a part of a thriving church. I want to say to you leaders, you all do a phenomenal job. Man, today we have 150 some people serving. We have, I don't even know the number off the top of my head of the small groups we have going and the ministry teams. I want to say hats off to you guys. I love you guys. Thank you for all you do. God bless.